regulatory authority to make sure they get the appropriate license before they can go ahead to license them their entire facility.
I see.
Yes.
And for how long have you been at this, personally?
I have been a nuclear regulator since the year 2000. Formerly appointed as an assistant research scientist and rising through to a chief regulatory officer.
I see.
So I can say I've been there for like 20 years now.
Is this your dream job?
Well, I have always dreamt of being a scientist. I'm a chemist by profession.
Okay.
But focusing on specializing in the environmental chemistry aspect and now focusing further on environmental radiation. So my PhD is in the area of environmental radioactivity.
I see.
Yes. So
I see.
I really love my job, and then I look forward to always contributing my quota to this direction.
In fact, if you had not said you love your job, how you've even spoken passionately about it gives us the clear indication that indeed you do love your job.
Thank you.
So good to know.
Thank
good
you.
to know. We're also joined this morning on the line for our conversations by Dr. Philip Bano. He's the Registrar and CEO of the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency. Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, I wish I was seeing you in person. How are you, sir?
I'm not bad at all.
Okay. So I was asking about things nuclear and how they relate to Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, for which you head. Your thoughts?
Oh, my thoughts on it. Okay. Good morning to the other panelists, and good morning to your many listeners. I'm sure your viewers on the other media platforms.
You have just 1 minute.
Okay. All right. We'll try and sort out the connection to Dr. Bano, and then we will continue that conversation. So when we talk enforcement,
Yes.
what exactly are we talking about?
Okay. Now, enforcement, the Nuclear Regulatory Authority will have a core mandate, and there are certain areas that we have to cover, which ranges from what we call notification of authorization, review and assessment, inspections, and enforcement. Now, at the top of all this, we have what we call regulations and guidelines. Now, these regulations are the ones that issue our requirements that are supposed to be complied by licensees or applicants. Now, so when it comes to enforcement, our job is to ensure that once the requirement has been issued in regulations, and you intend to use any device or equipment that emits radiation, now you must comply with all these requirements. Then, when you're able to do that, we can then say, well, so far as the use of your device or equipment is concerned, you will ensure protection of humans and the environment. For that reason, we will go ahead and license you. So enforcement actions are applied anytime there are non-compliant issues to be addressed by the applicant or the licensees to make sure that they meet the standard for which the equipment is supposed to be put to use in any jurisdiction within the country. So it's not only in the medical field, in industry, and even in nuclear power. Yes.
Nuclear power.
Yes, we enforce all these things.
And the range of your enforcement, is it always the man with the stick in hand and checking if you're doing things right, or it's more collaborative?
Thank you very much. That's a very relevant question. Yes. So we always keep telling our inspectors, and for that matter, those who go for enforcement, that please don't go to a facility posting as a police officer. It's more a collaborative work, in the sense that when we come to issues of radiation, sometimes the subject matter is not too clear to so many people.
Okay.
So your duty as an inspector is to make sure that they comply with the requirement. But in doing so, try to help them understand the basis for what you are doing, so that they will rather appreciate it and they'll be more than willing to do it, rather than posting yourself as a police officer, which is not going to help in of our cause.
Fantastic. Dr. Bano, sorry about that, but I was asking you about the value of your enforcement as an agency and how your relationship with the NRA has been over the years relative to nuclear regulatory requirements.
Yeah, thank you for the question again. I think the line dropped. Yes, well, we have a shared mandate. Yes, to make sure that agents that are ionizing, when used in any healthcare facility, is done safely. Therefore, we have a broader mandate that is to make sure that healthcare delivery is done also safely. So that is where the intersection occurs. So when we go to license or inspect a healthcare facility, if they are doing X-rays, CT scans, or any other testing modality that uses ionizing sources, we make sure that that facility has also passed the prior inspection and approval from the NRA. And that is where we work collaboratively together. So it's a joint effort that we need each other to make sure that healthcare delivery is done safely. Because if we are not very careful with ionizing sources, you can harm people from that.
Okay, so to the ear listening that does not understand ionizing, what are you talking about?
Oh, okay. Ionizing means that you can get harm or injury from it if you received excessive exposure. So, for example, X-ray can develop if it's repeated exposure to work there by employees. They can even develop cancer from that. So these are some of the harms that you have to protect the workers and also the patient who is going to visit there so that they are not injured from it.
Okay, now for enforcement, how does HeFRA approach enforcement? Is it the man with a stick in hand and saying, hey, do the right thing? Or it's more of a collaborative relationship in saying, we've checked this is not right. How do you together make it right?
Excellent. So if we visit a facility and it is not licensed, we do not license that facility. If it's not licensed by NRA, we do not license. But we ask them to make sure that the certificate is updated. If they fail to do that, we can revoke our license or withdraw or suspend, or we can even fine. The extreme is to effect an arrest and closure of the facility. Those are some of the enforcement tools available to HeFRA.
Okay, and for how many healthcare facilities are under your ambit for enforcement?
Oh, HeFRA, at the moment, the estimate is 30,000 healthcare facilities in the country. At the moment, we have about 4,000 of them actively under monitoring.
4,000 out of 30,000?
The 30,000 is an estimate, and
Okay.
it includes facilities that may or may not really come under HeFRA, like some of these herbal facilities, some of the pharmacies. There's a little bit of legal tussle as to whether they completely come under HeFRA or they're completely under Pharmacy Council, for example. So if you add all, in all comments, the estimate is 30,000.
Okay, and so for these 4,000 that you handle, how do you carry out your enforcement as a regulatory body?
Yeah, as I stated, when most of the time it's an oversight on the part of the proprietor or the owner of the facility. So when we visit either on monitoring or inspection and the NRA certificate is expired, we ask them to make sure that it is renewed. And most of the time they comply because they want to keep the hospital open or the clinic open. So they go ahead and comply, whether it's a dentist's office, a doctor's office, a health center, a hospital. In the few instances, there was one incident where we had effected the arrest of the person operating the facility because we thought the exposure level was too high and we couldn't leave the facility operating without being sure that it was going to be done safely. So we effected the arrest of the person that was there. But immediately upon arrest, they went ahead and then corrected the situation. It had to be re-leaded. It was not sufficient leading in the building. And that exposes, especially those who work there, continued exposure to the radiation. But as soon as we did, they corrected the problem. Other than that, then we can go for full prosecution, or we can fine or impose a fine, that sort of a thing. So that is how we do enforcement.
I see. Interesting. And just on the line of enforcement, I'm a little curious by a few things. So, what time of year do you do these checks? Is it beginning of the year, mid-year, or end year?
It's a year round, and we do that so that people do not, they are not like aware that we are coming. But the monitoring and enforcement is year round. So that's how it's year round, and we do not often announce where we are going. As I'm speaking, the team is about to go to a specific region. I'm not going to tell you, but they are there. We also get help informed. There's a health intelligence unit that is there. They go out throughout the country collecting information, and when they do, they inform us. So that is another wing of an enforcement. It's more like intelligence collection, and they inform the appropriate regulatory body, either HeFRA or Medical and Dental Council, Allied Health Professionals Council, or whichever appropriate authority it should be, whether it's FDA or whatever is going on. There's a health unit out there made up of men, women, and other people who collect information on what is going on and inform the right agency to go ahead and carry out this enforcement mandate.
Okay, even though your checks are all year round, are most of them done per tip-ups or by spot checks?
As I said, most of the time is when we go for inspection and monitoring, or when maybe by intelligence we pick that there's an unlicensed facility doing XYZ, and then usually I just for the public, we will send someone there to go there and to verify. And then when we have the information, then we move in officers to go there and then effect what we need to do. So that is how we work.
Okay, let me ask the same questions of Prof. Fanu, since it's still down to regulation. What time of the year do you do enforcement?
Yes, so like I said earlier, enforcement is one of the core mandate of the authority.
Yes.
Now, we issue out enforcement. Now, enforcement, you can look at it in two contexts. In the sense that you are enforcing the overall program from regulatory inspections until you get authorization that they comply with the requirement. Now, another aspect of enforcement you can also implement is that you've gone to carry out inspection for the purpose of authorization. Then you find out that there are some non-compliant issues. For that matter, you give the applicant or licensee a time frame to correct those non-compliant issues. Then you are expected now to go back, verify that they are implemented before you can then go ahead to grant the authorization. So this is how. So it's like Dr. Bano said. It's a year-long process. It's not just a one-time event. It's a whole entire process that can take place from January to the end of the year.
Okay. So do you go per quarter? Do you go per half year or end year?
No. So that, like I said.
So for my facility, let's even ask you for instance.
Okay.
If it's my facility that you are coming to check,
yes.
Should I expect you first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, or last quarter?
Good. So if it is a full-blown inspection to authorize you, that's another way of enforcement.
Okay.
You are giving a license for a period of for 1 year or 3 years, depending on the risk category. Now, before it expires, you, the applicant or licensee, expected to remind the authority that your license is due to expire, like we do for DVL and others. Now, once that is done, then a team is scheduled to go there and verify the safety measures that are still there, or whether some things have changed, then we can then renew the authorization or not. So it is, so have yearly inspections or quarterly inspections. So it is segmented, where we have some happening first quarter, second quarter, because the expiration of all the facilities not the same time.
Okay.
Some will expire first quarter, some will expire second, third. So you schedule it that way to make sure that every facility that you're supposed to regulate is brought under regulatory control.
And for these checks and authorizations, yes, you do the inspections.
Yes.
But more often than not, do you do paperwork assessment before you go, or you just do the inspection straight? You pick your stuff and show up.
Very good. So it is depends on the type of facility. We have what we call new authorization and renewal of authorization.
Yes.
Now, if it's a new authorization, the applicant puts in an application of all his supporting documents concerning what is supposed to be put in place at the facility. Now, this paperwork is reviewed by a team and generate a report indicating whether it is compliant with the requirement or not. So it's a back and forth process with the applicant until they are addressed. So once they is able to certify all the requirement in the document, we don't end it there. Then the report is then given to another team to go to the facility or the site and verify that all that they provided inside the application form is the same that is existing. They also come back and generate a report. Then that report is further reviewed to make sure it's in line with what was put in the application. Then if everything is found to be all right, then an authorization is issued to the applicant. So that is how it is done. So it's not just paperwork alone, but it is both paperwork and on-site inspection.
Inspection.
And like Dr. Bano said, you have also announced inspections and unannounced inspections. This is a way of also verifying to make sure that the applicant is not, or the licensee is not only doing the right things when they know you are coming, but they are always doing it every time.
Okay.
So we promote what we call safety culture, that you should always think safety all the time, not just thinking that let me comply with the requirement because the law says we should comply with the requirement, but you should think of your personnel also.
And
they
their
need to be
safety.
safe, as well as the environment need to be what? Kept safe. Because if you don't control the exposure of this radiation, apart from harming the human beings, they can also harm the environment in which you operate.
That's true. So, Dr. Bana, let me come back to you, but quickly. On days when you go for the checks, for instance, are those checks so rigorous that the departments at that facility will have to be shut off from the public for a number of hours, or it's as quick as 5-minute check, 10-minute check, and then that's it?
No, it's not 5 minutes. When we go to, of course, larger facilities will take much time, longer time. When we visit a major hospital like any of the regional hospitals, it's usually about 1.5 days. In the teaching hospitals, I don't want to mention specific ones, we spend 2 to 3 days inspecting the various areas of the hospital. Of course, if you go to a clinic, that one could take maybe an hour, because that's a small clinic. So the time depends on the size of the facility and what we have to check. So I hope you understand. And we check several things, from the governance structure to the HR structure, the HR policies they have. We look for safety issues, both the patient and the employees. We look at several things that they must have. The nuclear is not the only safety thing that we check. We also check for fire. And sometimes we even let them demonstrate if the water sprinkler system or the water hose or the fire hydrants, if any, is going to work. So we check for several things for safety, for the sake of the patient and also those who work there. So the time really depends on the size of the facility.
All right. Based on what you've just explained to me, and these are human institutions that are providing healthcare services, but for you as a regulator as well, what are some of the niggling challenges you have that impedes your work in ensuring our collective safety?
Excellent question. There are many. As I speak, and we have the authority for legal and enforcement unit, but it is not 100% formed or in place. So sometimes you run into a little bit of issues. But government is responding by finding us the resources. So as I speak, we just got the news that a lawyer has been released to HeFRA, or seconded rather to HeFRA, to help us to go after the most recalcitrant, non-compliant facilities, or the proprietors of those facilities. So that is a step forward. Then HeFRA specifically, we don't have presence in all the regions. I always say that if you look at the 5 northern regions, we have just one office from Tawale, and it monitors all the 5 regions. So that's some teething and growing things, but it's working. There's improvement in the system, but we are not quite completely free from issues. But progress is not achieved in one day.
Okay. Same question to you, Profano. What are some of the challenges that you face as a regulator in the health space when you go to?
Thank you very much once again. And like Dr. Bano said, I think we'll have similar challenges. First and foremost, we are only situated in Accra here, and we are expected to regulate every facility that emits radiation in the country, not only in the medical field, as well as industry.
Everywhere else?
Everywhere.
Okay. So you want to regional offices?
Well,
regional district
we'll
offices.
get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. So the number one challenge we'll have is logistics, because we need logistics to move around. And this is a specialized area where the equipment even used for the monitoring purpose are not in this country. You need to procure them from outside the country. And I must be honest with you, most of the equipment we use we use has been through the support of international donors,
Wow.
like the International Atomic Energy Agency.
Yeah.
And that's what we use for monitoring purposes.
So if not for them, you wouldn't have equipment.
Well, maybe we would have gotten one or two, but what we have now, they have supplied us more to augment what we have through our local resources. So most often, logistics is the main issue in terms of vehicles to move around, equipment, and more importantly, competent personnel. Because, like I said before, this is a very specialized area. If you do not have people who are competent, they cannot do the work, because you need to be able to know what you are looking for as an inspector when you visit the facility. And the facilities are varied from general X-ray, CT, radiotherapy, nuclear medicine, and you cannot have one person having expertise in all this.
Yeah.
So you need to have varieties of people with different expertise. On the high level, as a radiation protection professional, you need to have general knowledge about everything. Then you specialize in individual areas so you can perform your job better. So as we sit here, the workload, I must be honest with you, is very high. And we are not able to complete all our target we set for the year because we are limited in terms of equipment and in terms of number of staff to do the work.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's serious. We've talked challenges.
Yes.
Let's also talk about achievements.
Thank you.
Dr. Let me start with you. What have been your key highlights in your enforcement job with the healthcare facilities that are under you? Dr. Ban, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
I was asking about, we've talked challenges. Let's take a minute to talk about your achievements as well.
Oh, okay. Achievement, I think that we brought visibility to the role of HeFRA, because before then, people were not too aware of what the role of HeFRA is, and therefore they didn't know what to do. But since then, I think it has improved compliance just by making people aware of what is expected of them. As I said, we've added a monitoring unit. Since I came on board, we are processing data online instead of having to travel to Accra here. Now we have intelligence units, and now we are going to get our enforcement unit is being beefed up. So those are some of the achievements that we've made.
Okay. Before I let you go, your final words to us before I come back to the studio. Dr.
My
Bano?
final word,
Yes.
Yes, sir, I'm here. My final word is that when people hear regulators, they shouldn't always think that we are there to get them. But actually, we are also there to help them to succeed. Because by weaning out the charlatans, it frees up that space for those who are doing the right thing to operate, and it brings visibility and authenticity to those who have our license when it's displayed on their walls. So they shouldn't think that the regulators are out there and we are against them. No, we are against those who are doing the wrong thing. And they themselves are aware that there are some bad nuts in there. We all know that. And those are the ones that we all need to work together to weed them out of the system so that those who want to do the right thing can deliver the appropriate care and the quality of care that all of us need.
Dr. Bano, I thank you for your time this morning and for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Dr. Philip Bano, Registrar and CEO of the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency, HeFRA. Okay. Profano.
Yes, sir.
As we wrap up our conversation this morning,
Yes.
quickly on achievements and then your final word.
Okay, so most important achievement, I must say, through the collaborative work of some of our sister agencies, we have been able to improve on our regulatory functions. Notably, can be mentioned of Petroleum Commission in the oil and gas industry. They have been very helpful. EPA in waste management, HeFRA on the regulation of medical facilities, Food and Drugs Authority for regulating medical devices as well. So all these guys have been agencies that be able to complement the authority in performing its enforcement activities. I must also say that, like Dr. Mano said, the awareness of radiation issues is being increased, and for that matter, people who are now in the use of these devices are now more than willing to comply with the requirements. So this is one of the biggest achievements we have also gotten into the system, where people now are willing to comply with the requirement to ensure these equipment are used for human beings as they should be. Then we also have through the enforcement actions have been able to make sure that all designs that are used to construct facilities, they are constructed based on the design. So this has also improved. So I must say we are making strides in this area, and there's still a lot to be done. And we can only do that through education, like we are doing through this media. And thank you very much, Star FM, for this wonderful fleet.
Okay, let me just say, I like your grey beard.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Professor Augustine Fund, Director at the Radiological and Non-Ionizing Installation Directorate at the Nuclear Regulatory Authority. We're also joined on the line by Dr. Philip Bano, Registrar and CEO of the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency. That'll be for us this morning for breakfast here on the show. I want to say a big thank you to all of you for connecting. Big shout out on top of the morning to you.